Welcome back to Ace Attorney Chronicles, episode 3. It's been a week. Been a long week. And I'm probably... I'm actually too tired to really stream, but I said I would finish episode 3 so we can go... apparently play Resident Evil 3 on Thursday, because I have work tomorrow. If I don't finish it today, which will likely happen, I'll try to finish tomorrow after work, because it's probably not going to be too much longer, and I'll be not too tired because we pretty much get no customers these days, unless I'm working. I don't know. They see my bike outside and then it's like, so easy. Let's go. Let's go in. So, yeah. Last time we kind of figured out, guessed, that there's a third person, that there was a third person in the wagon, in the cabin with the victim and our client, and turns out she was in a box that should have been full of stuff that's now mysteriously empty. So yeah, she wouldn't have been able to fit in, although she claims that she would remove that stuff out of that and put it somewhere else. But then again, where would you put it? Other customers riding in that omnibus would notice. But okay. We already figured out that most of the time it's better not to question the logic of the game. Right, let's continue. Hey. Give me the tea, please. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital clue. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Oh, okay. It's profoundly important. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard something. Nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern Mind Council. Nevertheless, Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your former testimony by repeating that last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Tell it, well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. Then after a while I hear this loud bang, nearly jumped out of my skin I did, and the scream just came out. Okay. Press. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time since the moment you hit yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry. Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have the butchers see what was what. But then, when I saw this swell getting on, I got me head down, so it didn't notice. Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve it? What a muck. So then, all I could do was listen. Yeah. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put on, listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that? I wonder. Well, he said that he was asleep the whole time, so I guess it makes sense. Let me save. Let me be a safe scum. Shalala, shalala. That's what this is for, isn't it? Cool. It makes sense. Well, that all seems to make sense. You took your time reaching that conclusion, Counsel. What was that from 1-6? Is he laughing? Very well then. Continue with the cross-examination. Then after a while I hear this loud bang, nearly jumped out of my skin, I did, and the scream just came out. When you say loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily. That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not? It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah. I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butchers while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the block was what that's fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns and looks right at me. Sank back down, but it was too late by then. I should never have risked looking. Because of that, this swell found me. Did help me get away mine. And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding space. I was scared stiff I was. He dragged me out and set me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason. Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his gut. He was still bleeding. But then the carriage lurched a bit and he ended up falling onto me. Awful. Both me hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog. Both their hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passengers saw. After that, I believe you walked with Mr. McGilded for a while. Talked, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to, and then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see what you can. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brave shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we could clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. I have this niggling feeling something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. So I snuck in there, carriage, they hooked me up the horse just like always, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending a journey, blah blah blah. Huh. So curious if I go for escape system way, go back and say, doesn't that up? Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court, it's clearly at odds with the facts. Ah, at odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. Seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as stalwarted as I feared. So Van Zix realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGill snoring. But think, Rianowski, think. There's something else she should have heard. Short person. Very well, my lord, allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Mr. Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Take that!
Thrice fired Mason. Yes, my lord, the sound that Mr. Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah. Of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time? Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own, for sure. and from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its own onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't I? Waiting for the swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the fact. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zieks. Yes. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Mr. Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. No, Grandma. God damn it, Grandma! She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she was some rather naughty ways, but I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge the girl just because she was some less than salubrious ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars. Oh, come on! Mr. Naruto, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Give me that wine. I don't drink alcohol, but give it to me, please. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nepalese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for? You useless Eastern Amedan? What? This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruto, the way this is going, I know, we can't find some way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilder's innocence. The judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. Sure, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
No. Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. Hi Erica, how you doing? However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I did not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Okay. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. I'm doing alright. My camera stopped working. I know how to fix it, but I was too lazy to stand up because I'm currently bathing my feet. And yeah, I was too annoyed by the fact that I had to stand up to re-plug the cable for no reason. So yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm having kind of a spa day today. Treating myself to some self-care. So yeah, I'm doing alright. And let's see. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? I don't? A magic portal, maybe. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. He was in there already, there's another entrance, or he was put there after he died. All three make sense? Okay, no. The first one doesn't make sense. He couldn't have been in there. I don't think, at least. So the second one, there's another entrance. He would still have to have entered the cabin in some way, shape or form, so she would have still be able to hear him, no? Unless there's another storage unit underneath the seat. He was put there after he died. Let's be the safe scum that I am and safe. Obviously, the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed.
Objection!
Yeah, it does make sense, I know! Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of the obviously in your last sentence? Huh? Well said, Lord Van Zieks. The obviously is troubling me also. No, that's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved into the carriage afterwards. Then answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage? Well, obviously, I shall have to analyze the defense. Yeah, oops. Yeah, shut up. That's what this is for. There's another entrance, apparently. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
You still objecting? I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, the other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. The only other way it makes sense to enter is the skylight. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you proposed the victim entered the cabin? The only way it makes sense is through the skylight, and the point he entered was the loud noise. Yes, no, maybe? I don't want to lose my tries. For a second. The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words, however.
Objection!
The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? The loud bang? Both Mr. McGill and Miss Lestrade said the same thing in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You are now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in the testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGill? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Huh. Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof? You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man where... Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter, you say? You rotter. What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I've a good mind to forgive you Blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said. And so will I. Mr. Fairblay, you are effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker, as well as a gambling addict, and me, a very angry hatter, suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's disgrace. It's scandalous. It's... I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right, I protest too. What you rotten scoundrel. Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the ante room as at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. Ah, it's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zieks. It was the defense. Got it. The defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. I did not accuse anyone. I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. I think you had a bit of too much of wine for you to believe that. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the event, unless the rooftop passengers entered the roof after the victim fell through the skylight, so they couldn't have witnessed it. I don't know when they entered the carriage, so I can't really judge that logic, but still. Why would I be insinuating murder by the other witnesses if that is still a possibility? There was no time frame given from the loud thud to them talking, her hands being covered in blood, and them being discovered. There was none. So he could have entered the rooftop before the other witnesses, fell through the skylight, the open skylight. Someone must have opened it. And since no one else, or well, other than the murderer, was up there, they couldn't have noticed. But then again, we all know who the actual murderer is. But we're defending him, so we have to get him out of there. And somebody else can get the guilty verdict for him later. I hope. with a jury like that, it's not that hard to get a guilty verdict. Just tell them a sob story of how he beat a dog, and suddenly everyone will vote guilty. Am I right or am I right? Alright, let's continue. You have rendered these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. Intimated, okay, whatever that means. Their criminal guilt. Okay, yeah. In our British court of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. Isn't that what all of you are doing, though? Baseless accusations? None of what anyone said so far is based on any evidence. The evidence is added willy-nilly at the last second. Oh, no. Don't get logic involved. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's a filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Testify! 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 What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? The spectators in the public gallery they're in complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord. You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Okay, well. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keeping pushing forward. Sorry. Refuting the accusation. We were the only people up on the roof deck, dead or alive. I can swear on that. If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no idea, no reason to kill the man. Skylight was shut the entire time. I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? Oh, I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine how either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see? We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. Huh, well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Well, something doesn't feel right here. Tell me about it. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. Refuting the accusation. We were the only two people up on that roof, dead or alive. I can swear on that. So, at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not, Dickon. No question about it, he said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here. Is this true, Mr. McGilded? Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately. That's an outright lie. Without doubt you were engaged in... Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? It is all about evidence in the court these days, so it is. You do well to remember that. I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well. If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one of the other of us would have noticed? Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. Is this some kind of lark? Is this some kind of joke? He said. It's not what this is. Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep bravely. Are you fair Duncombe, sir? Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you. They're working well together, this duo, for not knowing each other. I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you'd never open them again. You know, the cold actually makes you tired. If your body cannot produce enough energy to keep you warm enough, it'll shut down. So yes, it would be highly unlikely for them to wake up again if they're freezing to death, but it is still possible to fall asleep in the cold. That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Oops. What was that? Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. Ah, god damn it, I skipped again. Come on. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and I didn't hear ye at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. No, it was a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. It is hardly surprising. Seeing things? Seeing things? I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point. You... Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really. In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill him. So, you had never met Mr. Thrice fired Mason before? No, not once, never. He'd never met the man before, he said. Never. And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either. That's right, hatters don't have much to do with brick makers, to be perfectly honest, sir. No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
Excuse me.
Mr. McGilded. Yes, counsel, what can I do? Can I be doing for you? Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow? Not the remotest connection. Is that right now, I wonder? What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay, it has been too long, so it has. Eh? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not? Your repayment date? I beg your pardon? You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir? At an unconscionable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion. Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crime off on another. And young Mr. First? Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That top hat sliding about on your head, is that one of your own creation, is it? Well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand? I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gents walk through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, it is a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers such as thrice fired Mason. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence before, my lord. Oh, this you mean? I can't help thinking that the poor fella's head looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh, that's one of my heads. Aye, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer I'd wager you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh no, sir. Absolutely no, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case. You little weasel. He's better at this than I am. Meh. Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Yeah, he's been trying to defend himself. He had the time of 3 days. Not like us. And apparently he also planned this attack, so... Please don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it.
Hold it!
Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time? I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute. He's going to lose his rack with you in a minute. That's what he said. Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see, it's shut fast now, just like it was on the night. So it is, of course. A fellow the size of Mr. Mason could likely break through, right through it. Still in all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand? Now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting our cane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when I broke wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happened. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First. Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight to see, but it just smelled like I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as a ruche, I did. Are you expecting me to sentence him? Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried. When I was inside the cabin of shame.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade? It opens. Huh? The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right? Put that away! All them skylights open. That easy. More easily than you can load the weapon. That weapon. That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside your mug. Oh. Look, a few weeks ago I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I had purses coming out of me ears. Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't up off the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight. I opened the catch and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. Skylight opens from the roof deck. Bailiff. Climb up on the roof of the omnibus and at once and verify this witness's claims. You can't even see it. Oh my hand. See? Order! 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 So, it appears that this street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens, and from the roof deck is the Naruhodo. This could be the clue we've been looking for. Well, counsel for the defense. Please, continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So, the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? So the skylight was fastened shut before, but now the catch has been undone, so we should be able to open it. So you can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Oops. Why are you opening stuff? Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Is it? What's good or not, I can't judge. This is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London Street from up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so. I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in this freezing cold? As a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Is that it? Okay, so if we go inside the cabin now, is it open? Does it stay open? No, let's see if murder, blah blah. Now it's closed. No, it's open. Okay. Does that give us something? Not really. But okay. So we checked it out, I guess. Yeah. If you're so sure the victim fell through the sky, where's your proof? Proof. That's right, element to hit. We came here to say what we saw, I tell you, not for this. But you call us both shysters? Brand us as criminals. Call us liars, that's what he means, and accuse us of doing it. As it stands at the moment, there's no hard evidence that incriminates yourself now, is there? I believe we're in much the same position as one another here. Huh. If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth. Don't worry. They're doomed anyway. I wonder if these two men really were involved in some way. I couldn't say. I mean, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Although, by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. It's so hard to know what to believe here. I think we should try to remember that it's evidence alone that can truly determine the outcome of a trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence. Yes, Mr. Naruto, precisely. We were the only two people up on the roof deck, dead or alive, I can swear to that. And now we are back at square one. What could possibly be the evidence they want to see? I don't think we need to press them on any of those statements again. The only thing I need to do is give them proof. Where is my proof? Does it make sense? Examine. What of some form? Well, for one, there's no way this man died instantly from a stab wound to the abdomen, and it's not mentioned in the report either. So there must have been a fight, but neither of the 4 people, 5, okay, if you count the driver as well, report noises of a fight. So he either has to have been drugged and or killed beforehand and then dropped inside, which wouldn't have left any blood stains. I don't know. Can I just present the sad? Okay, let me save real quick. And then we'll present our beautiful, beautiful omnibus.
Objection!
That reveals a damning inconsistency that... No, it doesn't. It doesn't? Okay. Yes, yes, please. Please do. Oh. Where is my proof? There isn't one. You can't prove that he fell through the skylight. So if I present this here,
Objection!
it doesn't, but it does. But I can't choose the skylight specifically. They were up on top, so the only people that could have opened... Oops. Yeah, shut up, shut up, shut up. Leave me alone. Yep. Okay, so we couldn't possibly have opened it is false. They could have. They were the only ones that could have been able to open the skylight. But I can't present that specific stuff. I can only listen to them talking about it again. You can clearly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's... How is that not good for us? Couldn't you have taken better photographs of that goddamn cabin? Hmm. Oops. These two statements gave us more information about both. Oh, about the case, I should say. But they didn't lead us further. Ah. Let's press again. Blah 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 dark blah 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 blah. Yep, okay. Okay. Stop the autoplay. Oh, can't do that. Ace Attorney. Ah, okay. Yes, let's go inside. Can we just skip this? Wow. I saw it, but I didn't notice it as blood. Yes, it does open wide, doesn't it? Wide open to kick someone like you through? Certainly, Mr. Naruto. Why someone like me? Ah! Ooh, what is it? Look, just here. Look at this. That's without question. It's blood. Why would there be a blood stain there? Surely. It can't be unrelated to the case, can it? The details of the omnibus have been updated in the court records. The scene of the crime, there is a bloodstain visible on the frame of the skylight when it opens. Alright. Okay, so we have something to present on the last statement. Yay.
Objection!
On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it. I tell you, it's impossible. Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom. Counsel. My lord, I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, huh? Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You will point out what it is that proves that the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight. Why didn't you give me that stupid option before? I didn't have to go inside, find it, then go outside, present it to a stupid argument, and then have to present it again? What? You'll point out the exact thing that did it.
Got it!
By Jupiter, is that blood? This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No! Order! Order! Order!
Hold it!
But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow stepped inside the cabin. Then there would have been more blood somewhere else as well. And only found its way to that one particular spot on the skylight shore, and that would be very convenient. And someone would have had to close the skylight afterwards. After it dried. And let's keep in mind that the skylight catch can only be fastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? There's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? It is all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height right there, so cheese. No, but it can't be. It's all lies. Hold it. My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, sir. It's clear to me now that where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? Look at your ruling, darling. I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate. Yes. but. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. Look at your ruling, my darling. You said guilty twice. Oh, on 3 then, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Objection!
No, you don't. Chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would ye be referring to there now, Lord Van Zieks? Bloodstain a bloodstain on the frame of the skylight. Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's there for all to see and it's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety. No such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least not until this trial began. But do you have proof? But are you suggesting, Lord Van Zieks, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes. And while this court has been in session. What? What a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such a crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zieks. But I am Magnus McGilded, a felon known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. If he's adept in not being the one dirtying his hands, why would he be the one killing this victim? Still, he would be the mastermind, yes, and someone ordering a kill is as guilty as the killer himself, but in this case, would he really be the one killing? No. So, Adapt the facts. What does that even mean? Seriously, give me that wine. I need to start drinking to end this episode. End my suffering. When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may have been, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Tut, Lord Van Six, this will not do, to be sure. Will it now, Counsel? Huh? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the scarlet didn't exist, you say? But if yours will all cast your minds back, is it not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the Walt and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, Counsel? It's true. Not. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time that the court has been in session. Not. My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter in your own words. Just start speaking Japanese, please. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, yes, it would have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best as I can, but still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There is no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there's one possibility. Oh. Good gracious. Explain yourself, Counsel. Why do I have to explain everything if Mr. Van Zieks could do the same thing? I am the defense. I am not the prosecution. I am not the one that's supposed to put my client behind bars. If I so can help it. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from his deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. What is going on? Careful, Mr. Naruto. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. The courtroom was filled with smoke and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus? Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye rotten, feckless gouger? Feckless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as? To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. They did a whole lot in a few seconds. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I've said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zeeks, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I am afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord, no doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? I have an inkling, yes? Yes? The blood on the floor as well. The bigger puddle of blood that should have gone noticed by the prosecution, but hey. It's definitely the blood on the skylight. My lord. Yes, counsel. There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What? What in the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare to betray me, you little maggot.
Objection!
Silence, Mr. McGilded. No, Mr. there. The court awaits the defense's clarification. This trial keeps swinging one way and the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark that you claim appeared at some point during the trial? Let's look. Down, down, down we go. In the depth of hell. If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood everywhere he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord! Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Thanks for me having to do your job. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a deceptive piece of evidence. Decisive. Oops. But if the question is whether that victim is genuine, evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it's all over now. But you're the defendant. It's over, I tell you. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all a nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there now. Well, and over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. That is true. That is really true. The only thing he did was counter us with words and add new evidence that he suddenly figured, well, we can add that to the court record now. I had to work with incomplete evidence while he had everything, and he still couldn't bring anything to the table other than a photo. The autopsy report, the omnibus, which of course was a large contribution to this case, and what else? Oh yeah, the bloodied gloves and the dagger. Was the debtor's ledger also his? Probably. This is all evidence we got from him. Okay, I had thought better of Lord Van Zieks. Well, my lord, I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollection of an individual cannot stand as evidence. True, true. Although I don't think he actually drank a lot, he threw a lot of wine away. And poured quite a few glasses, but did we ever see him drink any of it? Most of the time he threw it in the flames right behind himself. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, how about photogenic evidence? Why don't you take photos of the entire crime scene? Yes, continue. I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zieks, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord. There's no further witnesses or evidence to present. How nice of you that you have nothing else to add. Didn't even share your wine. Probably, yeah. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am, of course, obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilded will be found not guilty. Yes. Which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Yeah, he sure did. He shared another type of wine. Yes, my lord. The defense believes. A whole bunch of things. Believes the defendant could be guilty. I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot, in all good conscience, attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent. Good. Good gracious me. Order! Order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocent into question. Are you of sound mind? That is a good question, my darling judge. That really is a good question. This is not what a defense lawyer would do. I know. I am really, really sorry, but this game does not function of the logic that is president of the current judicial system. So, me. Yes, I am of sound mind. Don't worry about me. Okay. Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer. So it was a grand decision. Did you really have any say in it? Nope. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah. Your job here is done, fella. And some fine work you've done, so ye have. What do you mean? It's just as the right honourable gentleman so secondly put it before. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was... How did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. Okay. He's lost it. I really don't know what to make of this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something. You mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park. She didn't even listen. Unless it affects her in any way. She does not care. Okay, now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court.
Objection!
But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth, and we will never have Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Lord Van Zix. My lord, the case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain, and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. That's true. Kind of. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection!
But wait, Ryonosuke, just shut up! You're not changing anything here. This is over. Because they can't test the blood that is on the scene. Although, if you put fresh blood next to dried old blood, because the other blood is 3 days old, it should be dry as all hell and brown, but it's still fresh and red and juicy, as if it just happened. Which doesn't make any sense. Ah! But wait. When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zix ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. You're too kind-hearted, Naruhodo-san. The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Zix, it's been a pleasure, so it has. As for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you've more to say to me, have ye? Just one thing. A warning. If I ever catch you, you'll catch my wine bottle. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. Ha 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 ha! Why am I thinking of... What's his name? Tidus from Final Fantasy X? And his strange laughter. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded, not guilty. Whee! Celebration that are not in order. Can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? That man has been declared. He is innocent. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict, and my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty. Ostensibly a victory for us. Should have. 18th of February, 5:14 p.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. That certainly was a long trial. That it was, yes. Yes, it was. Your first ever trial on Foreign Soul and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. My heartfelt. Oh my god. And to you, Miss Susata. Thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. But this case is over. He's declared not guilty. So he's not our defendant anymore. We do not have to care what happens later. Yes, he's a criminal that definitely murdered someone and got away with it. But now you know better and can prepare better the next time. If he gets involved with another murder, I still would love to know his reason for killing the dude, because it couldn't have been money. That doesn't make sense. I want to know the reason. But we will never know. Oh, sorry. We'll probably never get to know that reason, but I want to know it. The trouble is, they're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time, but isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. Thanks, Susato-san. I think he needed to hear that. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGilded. Ah, and that girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. What stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty inside an enclosed room. Yes, makes total sense too. Line of fireworks indoors. It's not a fire hazard now. I'm sure Yao's must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, definitely. I heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I've you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Ah, 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. Ryonosuke, give it up! There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Aye. They've all seen that I didn't do that odious and absonant deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have, after all. I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. As if you pay any taxes. It's not that funny. So then, as we agreed beforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that. Ara, be whist, you're a humble people, are ye? You from the east. Well, if you insist. But have this, still and all, ye deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I had led to believe. Than I was led to believe. I hope it's not an inconvenience, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. So, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again? Now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing me best to help where I can. Though you're standing around while they're checking the evidence again. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope we never see each other again. I hope ye have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. Bye bye. And here goes a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Put that away. Shouldn't it still be loaded though? Don't move. Whereas I want to say get a move on. She really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down? You're grown up. Sorry. And I ate all grown-ups. You ate them all? Ah, there you are. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing onto a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. What's it? What? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyway, you're coming with me. Come back to my laboratory. What for? To apologize, of course, silly. To my technician. What? You mean say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? Ha! I don't listen to no adults. Come along then. Follow me. Fine, have it your way. Oh, good. You see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. Yeah, that was... She was part of it all. I'm fairly sure that what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss. Yeah, maybe next time, catch her earlier? She was a lively one. That she was. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All our travelling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings. But at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded Park. I believe it was pink. Could be wrong, but I think... I know she shot one of the jury members with pink smoke, but I think they used the white smoke for the whole room. But she definitely used a pink smoke. Capsule, whatever. In between somewhere. No, it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. No. I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly. Oh, those eyes though. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilder down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room or a mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the reap of the Bailey had warned, the case was far from over.
What's going on?
Get the fire brigade! Water! Bring water, quick!
What the? How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
This can't be.
Drama. The end. Okay. Yes, please save the current progress of my journey. No, not over this. Over this. Oh. Yes. Okay. The Clouded Kokoro. The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Okay. Well, no. No. I won't start the fourth episode since I promised to listen to the vote, and it currently stands for 1-0 for Resident Evil 3. So yeah. I won't start it today. Right. Forget that I have to use WASD to maneuver. Yeah, I don't think I'm awake enough to start a short game. I have a few that would only take about an hour or an hour and a half, but too long for me right now. So yeah, that was episode 3 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I'm curious what will happen in the 4th episode, especially since someone was inside that wagon, carriage, omnibus, whatever you may call it. That's good. Yeah. I'll see what will happen in the 4th episode, but I guess we'll play Resident Evil 3, even though I'm not so fond of the gameplay of that particular game. It's not bad, but I just don't like being chased. by big burly man. Yeah. Right. I don't know what to say. Let's just switch the end screen. And thank you, Erica, for stopping by, joining me in my suffering through this trial. I still can't believe that they managed to be so stupid as to not take meticulous care of just making sure not to be bedazzled by McGilda. If they knew that he is one to tamper with evidence, why wouldn't they take pictures of everything and make sure? Yeah, it just annoys me. Yeah. Bye, Erica. Hope you have a nice rest of the day. Now, just go to sleep now. Bye.